Hi, this is Anik's optical character recognition project, and what my project does is that you give it an image and it converts it into text for you in a very simple manner, no complicated stuff. You just open up this file right here, you browse, which I'll show you in a couple of minutes, but first let's focus on the graphical user interface. This blue box right here is the text area where the output comes out. This orange area, orange canvas, is where the image will show up. The program also shows you how much progress it has. It's empty right now because we haven't started anything, and the guest font is none because again we haven't started anything. And the user gets to type his own function right here, and the default starts off with obviously the run OCR of the image. And if we try right now, what's going to happen is that there's an error message. The function could not be executed on the image because there's nothing there. And here you insert file, you can't type it, you just browse it. So let's start right now. So first you click the browse box. Let's start off with something easy like the number 2 of Microsoft Sans Serif font, and guest font you see is none, but when you run the function, first of all, the progress bar just filled up really quickly. The guest font is Microsoft Sans Serif, and you can see right here that the number is 2. So I guess we start off with the simple stuff. Let's do the more complicated stuff like all A's. This is just a line of A's. It's Times New Roman font that any normal person could see, but the program would obviously take a couple of minutes to figure it out. So when we run it, it returns all 8 A's exactly as this one, and the guest font is Times New Roman. And just to show you that you can also choose your function, this pop-up box comes right here, and if you run it with OCR Times New Roman and you just run it, you will get the same answer. This doesn't change, but the progress bar filled up again, so you know that it finished. And if you browse, we pick another one. Let's go on to, I guess, more complicated things. Let's go on to a couple of lines. So this is again Times New Roman, a bad dad, and a couple of other letters. And let's run the function. And we can see that this lists right here a bad dad, a cab, and everything equally as this. And it even has the spacings and the lines up the next line when it actually is the next line. So let's try something else that's a little more complicated, preferably with another font that's not Times New Roman. So let's go to this one right here. And the best person in the world, and some other stuff. So this is Microsoft Sans Serif that I picked out, so I already know. And let's see if the function can do it also. So, well, the problem that happened right here is that we were running image with Times New Roman. So this is Times New Roman's font, and obviously it didn't work. So what we have to do is run OCR with the font not known or Microsoft Sans Serif. It'll figure it out. So let's put no font and let's run it. And we see that this indeed does get "and the best person in the world." Booey. Let's try this out. And let's try an even more complicated one, which is this test picture right here. And this is just a couple of random words and a couple of my friends' names. So let's run it, and again it doesn't know the font, and this one will take some time because it's a bigger image. You can see right here that even though it's big, it gets fit to the canvas. It might look a little weird, but it does fit into the orange canvas. And so right here, this image right here is mostly correct. There are some errors, as in this hello right here are 2 I's, because in the Microsoft Sans Serif font the L's are actually the same as I, and since I comes before an L because we check the capital letters first, it returns this because it's an exact match. And the other key thing to see here is that even though Brian Saravia right here is repeated 3 times and it is the same thing, we can see it's the same thing, it's really not, because if you look right here, there are some minor differences that cause this to be something different. So the VA is actually an I because of subtle differences, and if you see the last one right here is the perfect one because it's the one that the program realizes. So there are some flaws, but nothing too major. And the way I created, if you look right here, these fonts, is that I didn't crop them out individually. I couldn't do that. There's way too many. There's all the lower letters, upper letters of Microsoft Sans Serif and Times New Roman, all the numbers too. I had this font maker which so you look at an image like, so I just put in all the capital letters of a font. Let's use Microsoft Sans Serif for now, and it, based on the index, it boxes each of these individually and maps it to the index of the upper letters. So right here, if you run it, it will get you these, and it boxes it. So I made my font with that, and I just saved each of these images right here in my folder just to use as my library to compare the images to. So I talked about how I had numbers too, and I guess I'll have to show it now. So this is the lower letters plus the numbers, and if you run it, again, the guest font was Microsoft Sans Serif, which is correct, and this comes up right here with all the numbers, and the only thing that's a little off is the I, again, because the L, the small L, is actually a capital I, and it looks at that first. And the last thing I wanted to show is this image right here, which says my term product was an OCR, Andre Sutanto was my CA, and thank you. And this guesses that it's the Times New Roman font, and right here it has the exact same thing.